months ago, I moved to Ghana with my 10-year-old daughter. And this is what really happened. But to understand how we got here, I have to take you back to the beginning. I always knew I was going to live abroad. I didn't know where. I didn't know exactly when, but I knew I was going. My oldest daughter graduated from high school in 2025. And for a couple of years leading up to her graduation, I had this running joke. I would tell her, we're going to have 2 U-Hauls when you graduate. One to get you off to college, and then one for me because I'm leaving and moving out of the country. Everybody laughed, but I wasn't really joking. In my mind, the decision had already been made. Now, where I was going, that was a different story. I had narrowed it down to about 5 countries, and truth be told, Ghana was not at the top of my list. But something happened in 2024 that I just could not ignore. I received what I can only describe as a download from my ancestors. I heard these words, bring healing to Ghana. And at that time, I had never even stepped foot in Ghana. I didn't know what those words were going to mean for my life. I didn't know what would eventually lead me to pack my bags, sell my home, and move across the country. Matter of fact, a whole different continent, and completely rebuild my life. I just knew that I was given an assignment. So in January 2025, having never been to Ghana before, I hosted my first women's healing retreat there. And the minute I stepped foot in Ghana, I knew that this was going to be my home. I can't really explain the peace that I felt, but it was a peace that just came over my body, and it also felt like I remembered being there, or like the land remembered me. Yeah, it felt familiar. There was a quietness inside of me that I had not experienced before. And for the first time, this idea I've carried around for years about living somewhere else wasn't just a dream anymore. I could see it, I could feel it, and 2 months later, I was back in Ghana. March 2025, I came back. At this time, I brought my daughter, my youngest daughter, Amina, for spring break so that she could experience it. Because it was not just one thing for me to feel Ghana and for Ghana to feel right for me. I needed it to be okay with her too. Then in December 2025, we did it. We moved. Now, that's the story in a nutshell. But there's a whole lot that happened in between. I think I'm moving to Ghana and actually getting on a plane, and there's even more that happened after we landed. Because people hear that you packed up your life and you moved to another country, and people say things like, oh my gosh, you're so brave. I could never do that. You must be fearless. But truth be told, I don't think it has anything to do with being fearless. I don't even think courage is the biggest part of it. I think at some point, you have to decide that your dreams matter too. You have to decide to choose yourself. And for so many women, especially women of color, choosing ourselves can seem almost foreign. We spend so much of our lives pouring into everyone else, making sure the children are okay, making sure the family is okay, making sure everybody has what they need. We wear that superwoman crown like somebody is handing it out as trophies. And eventually, I started asking myself, when is it my turn? When do I get to live a life that isn't built entirely around what everybody else needs from me? When do I get to ask myself what I want? What brings me peace? What would my life look like if I stopped waiting for permission to live it? And once I locked in on that question, that was all she wrote. I made a commitment to myself. Not that moving to Ghana would be perfect. Not that I wouldn't be a little scared. Not that everything would work out exactly the way I imagined. The commitment to myself was simple. I was no longer going to abandon myself anymore. And honoring that commitment became one of the most important parts of this journey. Because moving to Ghana was the easy part. Learning how to build a life here, well, that's where the real story begins.